Alright, so I'm back with another video. We're talking today about how I would book the WWE's product up until Survivor Series. I mentioned maybe doing it up until the Royal Rumble, but that's way too much to think about right now. You know, I'm just one guy. I'm not a creative team. And personally, I don't even remember who's on what roster, so, I mean, fuck that. And let me start off by saying that I'm going to do the Hell in a Cell matches that I think are going to happen, and we're going to kind of go from there. So, you know, sit back, relax, get a bag of chips if you need to, and here we go. First things first, the Divas title match. Is this even going to happen at Hell in a Cell? Like, why would they put the chicks in this kind of match? It'd be awfully disgusting. And, I mean, like, the division is just kind of a joke right now as it is, so, you know, Kelly against somebody. There's not even a #1 contender right now, so I mean, fuck that. I'm not going to bother with it. This whole review isn't going to have anything to do with the Divas division, so if you were, you know, interested in that, sorry, but, you know, I gave, you know, focus to what I thought was important was, you know, the other titles. And it's not to sound sexist or anything, but it's just that right now the Divas division is in such shambles that I couldn't come up with anything to save it. So, sorry about that. Anyway, the first thing that I would do for Hell in a Cell is have Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. And I think the whole point of me putting this match in there is that I would have Daniel Bryan come down and interfere in this match and turn heel. And I'd make it so that he looks like he's going to help the good Sin Cara get the victory over the bad Sin Cara, because, you know, he's really tired of getting his ass kicked by Sin Caras every week. But then I'd have him lay out the good Sin Cara with the Money in the Bank briefcase after the match. So it would really establish that, you know, he's getting pissed and he's got a little bit more to offer the company than just, I'm Daniel Bryan, yay! So I think turning him heel would be really good for him. It would give him a little bit of momentum. The next match I would have on the card would be Khali versus Jinder Mahal. And I don't know if it's a match that they're going to do at the pay-per-view or not. So I would have... I'd have Mahal be the victim of some unfortunate accident, and then have him so that he's not medically cleared to wrestle that night. And then I would bring back Khali's translator, brother person, whatever the hell he is, and I'd have Khali cut a promo, and he calls out Mahal as a faker and a con, and eventually I'd have Teddy Long come out and get involved, and I'd tell him that since, you know, Mahal wasn't cleared to wrestle, that he was going to make the match for vengeance instead. And that gives it a little bit more time to play out and get personal. The next match at Hell in a Cell would be Christian versus Sheamus. And I'd give them about a 15-minute match. And I'd put Christian over Sheamus with some kind of dirty tactic, or maybe like Sheamus misses a big kick and we hit him with a low blow or something. Just something that continues the feud but puts Christian over in a really dirty kind of way so that Sheamus, you know, wants to come back and prove himself against him. In terms of the Intercontinental title, I don't know who the hell Cody Rhodes is going to be against, and I don't want to pick somebody out of the blue. So if it's DiBiase, whatever, let him retain against DiBiase. If he doesn't even defend the title, then whatever, I'll set up a feud for him in the future. And in terms of the heavyweight title, you get Mark Henry against Orton, and I want Mark Henry to retain. I'd have him beat Orton up so bad, in fact, that he's unfit to compete for a few weeks, and he'd leave on a stretcher. And then I'd have Henry attack the stretcher on the way out of the building, you know, like a typical bad guy would do, and really just draw heat. And I think that is really important for him to do. In terms of the WWE Championship and the Triple Threat cage match there, I'd have Nash, Miz, and Truth come break into the cage during the main event. And I'd have them lay out Punk, and I'd have them lay out ADR, and I'd have it look like Cena, you know, is the one last good guy left to take on all three of them, and I'd have him, you know, fake like he's going to start doing it, you know, because that's the kind of upstanding guy that he is. He's our hero, right? But then I'd totally have him walk over and hug all three of them, and he'd leave out the cage as the champion, and it would make him the company man, the loyal company man. And it would be a stable. I want to call it the Cena World Order, and it's going to be with Johnny Ace in their corner, obviously, and the whole point of it would be to take Triple H out of the company. The next night on Raw, I would have Triple H come out, and address this, but then the Cena World Order would come out and they'd put him out of commission. They'd send him to the hospital, and Johnny Ace would assume control in his stead. So basically, it's a really hostile takeover situation, and I think that it's something that we need to see. We need to see Triple H off the show for a week or something, you know? That'd be cool. I'd put a backstage interview of CM Punk on the show where he tells Cena that he commends him for finally showing his true colors. And he says that, he might have done the same thing if he were in that position. And then he's going to remind Cena about how he's beaten him before and how sweet it would feel to be the most loved wrestler in the WWE when he does it again. That is, if Cena's got the guts to risk losing his precious title at Vengeance. So that sets up the next match there. And I take ADR out of that whole picture because it's easier to do this way. Punk is obviously more over, and ADR is kind of a heel, so you don't want to have a heel on heel. Whatever. Keep going. I'm going to put Ziggler and Swagger into a big feud over the U.S. title. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to get Dolph away from Vicky Guerrero. The whole point of this being that Vicky would accuse Dolph of being weak after letting Hugh Jackman break, his jaw or whatever. And she'd pretty much say that Swagger wouldn't let that happen to him. And, this would probably act like the foot in the ass that Ziggler needs to kind of go it on his own. And I'd really like to see Ziggler go from like this hated heel that nobody's really behind and has interest in to, somebody that they can get behind in order to, beat up Swagger, because I think even less people like him. Then that SmackDown after that, I would book Sin Cara versus Sin Cara again, and I would have Teddy Long come out and say that they were going to settle the score tonight. So kind of give this importance to make it seem like this is the last time we're going to see Sin Cara against Sin Cara, because, it's a really failing storyline to begin with. And I'd give it about 8 minutes to go, and then again I'd have Daniel Bryan come out, make his way down to the ring, interfere, cause a disqualification, and waffle everybody with that Money in the Bank briefcase. Just keep emphasizing that he is the Money in the Bank winner, and that, it's going to be his time. He's really sick of being in the, in the undercard and jobbing to people and that sort of thing. I'd have a match between the Great Khali and some other jobber. It doesn't matter at this point. Insert jobber here. Jinder Mahal would obviously come out and get involved and cost Khali the match. So that kind of continues the whole feud that they have until Vengeance. And I want to make Mahal look a lot stronger than he's been made out so far. So I think that's really important to me, is to get him a little bit over. Not necessarily with the fans, but to get him over in the company, as a competitor in general, not just some guy that's going to come out there and look like an idiot when Khali smacks him in the head. Whatever. So, on SmackDown, because we're still on SmackDown right now, I'd have Awesome Truth come out, and they'd cut a promo against Air Boom, saying that there's no way that they could beat Awesome Truth again, and in order to prove it, that they would take on any other tag team that the locker room could come up with. And then I would have Justin Gabriel answer the challenge along with Ezekiel Jackson, and I'd have like Awesome Truth kind of like look at each other for a minute and be like, oh shit, is this a mistake? But after a brutal tag match, because Zeke is just a beast, I would have Awesome Truth get the referee's attention somehow, and then that would distract the ref obviously from seeing the hot tag between Gabriel and Jackson. And then I'd have them bust out a finisher, and Awesome Truth takes the victory in order to continue the Air Boom Awesome Truth storyline, because I think that would be a really good match for another pay-per-view. Cody Rhodes would come out to have a promo where he starts talking about, bringing prestige back to the IC belt. I think it's important for him to do that. I think he's been doing that. He'll mention the names of a couple of past title holders, like Ricky Dragon Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect. And he'll start talking about a few of the people that he's defeated recently and how they, they're all alike because they couldn't beat Cody Rhodes. And then I'd have DiBiase's music hit, and I'd have him come out to the ring, and I'd have him talk up Cody Rhodes for like a minute or two. you know. And this will obviously surprise Rhodes. He won't be expecting that. And DiBiase, he'll keep talking him up. You know, he'll be like blah blah blah, and you know, you're a really good wrestler, and you know, everybody, you know, should really respect you, and you know, you're really doing a lot for that title, and da 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 whatever. And at this point, Rhodes will have a big smile on his face, and then Ted will drop the bomb on him. So he'll offer to shake hands with him, and then he'll hit him with his finisher. So that'll cause that to be the next match for the title at the pay-per-view. I'd have Teddy Long come out, and I would say that next week that there would be a return of a superstar, and it would be huge. So let's cut to next week's SmackDown. We've got, I'd have the Big Show return, and I'd have him come out and, you know, tell Henry that he hasn't forgotten who took him out. And Mark Henry would, like, stare him down, but they wouldn't touch. It's important that they don't touch. I want to create suspense for Vengeance. Dolph Ziggler and Swagger would have more drama built up toward Vengeance. Air Boom would come out and cut a promo where they say that they're not afraid to beat Awesome Truth again in the middle of the ring, and so that would set up that match. Jinder Mahal would face Khali at Vengeance, like I said before, and then I'm going to book Sin Cara versus Daniel Bryan again. But this time I would do it in a Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification match, so that they really have reign of the whole arena, and there's not going to be any cheap, I hit you with a briefcase finish. It's going to be somebody, you know, really beats the crap out of the other guy and gets the pin. Basically, he's got to beat up two guys in order to ensure that nobody else breaks up the pin. Sheamus would take on Christian again, and then Cena would ultimately accept Punk's match and defend the title. And like I said, Cody Rhodes and DiBiase are feuding for the IC strap. And it sounds like, you know, a pretty meaningful pay-per-view with a little bit of build-up, even if it's only got, you know, 2-3 weeks to work with. At least it's something that you can get behind. You know, there's a story there. Let's see.